Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Napoleon Total, and we're back with another Enlisted campaign guide. This time we're going to be doing the Battle of Moscow. I would like to thank you all for all your support, and with that said, let's just get into history for the Moscow campaign for Enlisted. The Battle of Moscow was a military campaign that consisted of two periods of strategic significance fight on a 600-kilometer front of the Eastern Front during the Second World War. It took place between October 1941 and January 1942. Moscow was the primary military and political objectives of the Axis forces in their invasion of the Soviet Union. The German Operation Typhoon consisted of two major pincers, one of the north of Moscow against the Kalinin front by the 3rd and 4th Panzer armies, simultaneously severing the Moscow-Leningrad Railway, and another to the south of Moscow against the western front of Tula by the 2nd Panzer Army, while the 4th Army directed towards Moscow from the west. Initially, Soviet forces conducted a strategic defense of the city by obstructing 3 defensive belts, deploying newly raised reserve armies, and bringing troops from the Siberian and Far East military districts. As the German offensive halted, a Soviet strategic counteroffensive and a small-scale offensive operations forced the German armies back to their positions along Vyazma and Vitebsk. And it almost caused 3 German armies to be surrounded, and it was a major setback, and yeah, it pretty much ended the German quote-unquote swift victory over the USSR. But that's it for the history. Let's get into the campaign progression. Now let's move on to campaign progression. We're going to start with the Axis, and then we're going to move to the Allies. For the Axis, you start off at level 1 with your, essentially, rifleman squads. But level 2, you get the 80th Infantry Regiment of the 34th Infantry Division, and that gets armed with the MP-28. Move on to level 3, you get the VZ-24 with an engineer squad. If you have silver orders to spend a lot of silver orders, I highly suggest you get the VZ-24. It has one of the best stats of any German rifle, at least bolt action. Next we have a fighter, HS-123A1. Highly suggest that you don't get it, or don't use it on the battlefield. Level 5, you get the MP-38. Level 6, you get the pre-war Kar 98K with the radio operator squad. Just get the radio operator squad. Level 7, you get the Stuka Ju-87B2. This is pretty good, I have to admit. Level 8, you get the Panzer IIIB. Level 9, you get the Panzer, the anti-tank weapon, 38 of the 31st anti-tank battalion of the 31st Infantry Division. Level 10, you get the MG13, and this thing, if you it's a pretty good starting machine gun. I have to admit, it's a pretty good starting machine gun. Comes with only 20 rounds, but it's way better than the Beretta in Tunisia, but that's that. Level 11, you get the MP40. To be honest, I'd rather just use the MP38. Like, the MP38 is pretty similar in multiple ways. Then you get to level 12, which is the Panzer IIIE. Level 13, you get the ZB26. Honestly, I'll just get the... Honestly, the difference between the ZB26 and the MG13 is... The MG13, where is it? Right, anyway, it's right here. It's just slightly slower. Level 14, you get the mortar. Level 15, you get a BF-109 F1. Level 16, you get the pre-war Kar 98 with the scope mount. Honestly, yeah, for what the Soviets have, this is kind of bad. This is kind of sad. Level 17, you get a Kar 98K with a grenade launcher. 18, you get a flamethrower. 19, you get the BF-110C7. It's honestly not bad, but, yeah. 20, you get the MG34, which is gonna help a lot against Soviet SMGs. 21, Gewehr 41, and it comes with a bayonet, so that should be good. Although, not the best. Where were we? Yeah. Then we have a Panzer IVe. Then we have the level 23, we get another anti-tank rifle. Level 24, we get the Gewehr 98 with the scope. Level 25, we get a Stuka. another Stuka. This time is the R2 variant. Level 26 we get the MP35-1, which is interesting. Level 27 we get another semi-automatic rifle with the ZH-29. Like the Gavera, this is not bad. As a matter of fact, in terms of reload, this should be better. Level 28. This anti-tank weapon is actually pretty amazing. It's better than the previous ones. So yeah, I highly suggest that you guys get it, if you can. Level 29, you get the Panzer IV-J. Level 30, you get a Beretta M38. This SMG is quite good, not gonna lie. 31 is the big game changer. Level 31 is the big game changer for the Axis side. You get this wonderful weapon. Got a MK's B42. It's essentially a STG mounted with a scope, and it's given to snipers. So, we're gonna talk about that later. Level 32, we get a BF-109 F2. Level 33, we get an upgrade to the Flamethrower. Level 24, we get a Panzer IV F1. Honestly, except for getting this, the Axis are kind of pretty bad up until you get to level 31, which you get essentially the STG with the sniper. For allies, the situation is somewhat different. Off the bat, they have a very good SMG, the only downside is 25 rounds. Level 3, you get the Mosin Dragoon, which is not important, you just get the Engineer. Level 4, you get another plane. Level 5, you get the Shotgun. Level 6, you get the Mosin Carbine with the radio operators. Level 7, you get IL-2, which is kind of amazing. It and the Stuka are also pretty good. Level 8, you get the T-26. I rather just prefer the IL-2, to be honest. Level 9, you get the PTRD-41. Interesting weapon. Level 10, you get the Madsen, which is, once again, a pretty good starting as a light machine gun. Level 11, you get a big game changer for the Soviet Union. You get the PPD-34-38. It comes with a drum magazine, and that means it can hold 71 rounds. Interesting, amazing. Level 12, you get the BT-7, which is also a real game changer for the Soviet tanks. Level 13, you get the Winchester M1895. Not bad at all. Level 14, you get a mortar. Level 15, you get a Yak-1. Level 16 is where the Soviets shine, and they get a SVT-38 with a mount. The Germans at this point have a pre-war Kar 98K with a mount, so this thing is going to dominate. Level 17, nothing amazing. Level 18, a Flamethrower. Level 19, PE-3, not really amazing. Level 20, you get a DP-27, which is a very good LMG. It is the accordion, apparently. Next, we have... one second. We have the SVT-38. Once again, one of the best SMGs. One of the best semi-autos for this tier. Level 22, T-28. Not bad. Except for you don't really get access to the multi-turrets. Level 23, a mortar. 24, Sniper SVT-40. And... but this and the SVT-38 are just going to be game-changing. 25, another essentially a heavy bomber. A bomber at this point. Level 26, PPD-40, it is just going to be the upgrade to the PPD-37-38. And this thing is just going to be acting somewhat like the PPSH-41, but not that great. Yet. But it's still amazing. I highly suggest that you guys get it. 27, you get the AVS, oh my god, AVS 36. I highly suggest that you get it. Like with all Soviet semi-autos. Level 28, this PT, oh my god. The Soviets are just, at this point, very good at everything now. This is the PTRS-41. And it's just essentially a semi-automatic anti-tank rifle, and they can take out infantry as well as humans. And tanks. And aircraft, and everything. It's the anti-purpose rifle. It's the anti-everything rifle. T-50, one of the best tanks that the Soviets have. Level 30, PPSH-41. Do I even have to mention this? The best SMG in the game. 31, Sniper AVS-36. Except for the stability issue, this gun should be pretty amazing. MiG-3. 33, you get the flamethrower update. And finally, you get the T-28E at the end of level 34. But, yeah, that's it for the campaign progression. Now let's move on to the weapons. Now let's go to weapons. We're going to do Axis first, and Allies next. In terms of rifles, the Germans have the worst end. They have a VZ-24, which is a pretty good rifle if you ask me. Not bad at all. Except for there's one problem. Soviets have better semi-automatic rifles later on. The Germans have 2 scoped scope rifles, but the problem is these scope rifles. The Soviets have a STV-38. The Germans have a Gewehr 41, where the Soviets have the SVT-38, and yeah, the Soviets have the AVS instead of ZH-29. The big thing for the Germans is this assault rifle / sniper rifle. It's essentially STG-44 mounted with a sniper scope, and yeah, it's pretty terrifying at close and medium ranges. So yeah. Although that said, I wouldn't really... It's useful at long range, but I'd rather not. But yes. In terms of the assault weapons, I'd rather just get the MP38, like I've said. MP38, the pure difference is 5. This is 5.7, this is also 5.7, and 2.3 second reload. Yeah, almost, the stats are pretty much exactly the same. Yeah, the stats are pretty much exactly the same. Therefore, and this is, you achieve this faster in the campaign progression, so might as well just get the MP38 instead of the MP40. The MP351, it's a good SMG, but the problem is you unlock it so late. But the Beretta M38 is slightly better. As of all, for now, the German SMGs are quite bad. I'm gonna be 100% honest. In terms of heavy weapons, the MG13 is a pretty good starting LMG. 20 rounds. Oh, sorry, 25 rounds. Pretty good. It's better than the Beretta, at least. The ZB-26 is essentially a direct upgrade with 5 less rounds in its magazine. It's like the Bren, but unlike the Bren, it has 10 rounds less. The good thing about this is its rate of fire is increased. But yeah, then we have the MG34, which is amazing, absolutely a terror weapon. At 50 rounds, it can mow down people. It is the exact same LMG of the exact same MG34 in Moscow and in Berlin. So this thing is already quite terrifying in those campaigns. In Moscow, it's just going to be, if not even more terrifying. In terms of the anti-tank weapons, this is probably the best. It essentially is a grenade thrower at the end of the rifle. So this thing is amazing. In terms of flamethrowers, yeah, I don't really know if we should be using flamethrowers in Moscow since it's usable, but yeah, but the second you start firing your flamethrower, everyone's gonna see you. In terms of pistols, nothing really interesting. But that is it for the Axis side of Moscow. Not really a lot of good stuff. The only good stuff is this weapon and the MG34. The MKB-42H, very good weapon, except for the grind is going to be quite painful. The exact same thing cannot be said for the Allies. The Allies have some very good weapons. In terms of their rifles, if you want the best rifle, it's this one. Sorry, no, this is the sniper version. It's this one. Has the best stats of all of them. Has better stats than the German rifle, the VZ-24. and has a pretty good sight, if you ask me. And yeah, 5-round magazine, yada yada yada, all the good stuff. The Soviets at level 16 get the sniper SVT. This is a very big buff for their snipers. Not only is this used at close range, it is also used at long range, so it's pretty amazing. Not to mention 12 hit power is more than enough to hit a person and kill them, if not down them. And yeah, it's amazing. Mosin with a grenade launcher, I wouldn't really suggest that you get that, but if you want to, go ahead. The infantry get the SVT 38 now, and once again, like the sniper version, it's just amazing. And you can get what do you call it? A bayonet on this, so this is just even more amazing. Yeah, really like the SVTs. Then we have the sniper SVT 40, which is essentially the SVT 40 mounted with a sniper rifle. Pretty much the exact same stats as the SVT 38. Just in my mind, better looking. Then we have the AVS 36. Once again, this thing is absolutely amazing. The Soviets had the way better in the rifle advantage and semi-automatic rifle advantage. This is fully automatic, semi-automatic and fully automatic, but because of the recoil, I'd rather be using it semi-auto. That said, you can go full auto, and this thing could be absolutely terrifying. 12 hit power at close range, so that is already quite scary. 9 over distance, 9.8 over distance. And finally, if that was enough, we have the sniper version of the AVS. I highly suggest that you use semi-automatic. Only use fully automatic if you're like going into close range. But that said, this thing is absolutely terrifying. Has the exact same stats as the infantry version, but really terrifying. And if you thought that was already quite terrifying, look at their assault weapons. The Soviet Union has the assault weapon edge 100%. They have the best starting SMG of all the nations, of all the campaigns. The PPD 38, my bad. Box. It only has a 25-round magazine, but this thing shoots so fast that it doesn't really matter. The only downside, like I said, is the 25-round magazine. Next, at level 11, well, besides the shotgun, but it's a shotgun. At level 11, you get the PPD 38 with the 71-round magazine. This thing is absolutely terrifying. Do I have to emphasize how terrifying? It is one of the best SMGs, and considering that you get it at level 11, this thing is beyond terrifying. It can mow down entire German squads without you blinking an eye. But yeah. And finally, at level 26, we have PPD 40. This thing, once again, is absolutely amazing. It can mow down entire squads like the PPD 34-38. Except for it just does a way better job at it. This thing goes at 730 shots per minute. This thing goes at 820 to 900 shots per minute. So this just gets a recoil update, and the recoil is almost exactly, if not the same. Finally, we have the PPSH-41, and do I even have to state how amazing this thing is? This thing is used to mow down entire armies. This thing literally has more rate of fire than some light machine guns. This thing is amazing. This is essentially a light machine gun put on steroids and then given to assault squads. Like, this is really amazing. Now, I think I've said in my campaign progression, I said that it uses the exact same round as the Mosin. That is not true. What I meant to say was that what the Soviet engineers did was take a Mosin, cut the barrel in half, vertically, of course, not sorry. Cut the barrel in half, and then that is literally the barrel of the PPSH-41. So that is already quite terrifying. And at level... look at the rate of fire for a 5-star. That is beyond terrifying. It is essentially a light machine gun. Just gonna put it out there. It has, as a matter of fact, it has more rounds than a light machine gun. It has more... the only downside is the hit power, but... guys, it's amazing. And now you might be thinking, okay, that's enough for the Soviets, until you get to the LMGs. The PTRD-41 is amazing anti-tank rifle. The Madsen is also amazing infantry weapon. 12 hit power. It is essentially fully automatic. What do you call it? A fully automatic bolt action rifle. It is terrifying. And not to mention at range, it can down a person almost instantly, unless they're using vitality. We're gonna skip the mortars and flamethrowers. The DP-26, the accordion, it has the exact same stats as the Madsen, except for this time it has a 47 round magazine. This thing is absolutely amazing. And yeah. And the PTRS-41. This gun is literally anti-everything rifle. It can kill tanks, it can kill aircraft, it can kill infantry, it can kill anyone that you wish, essentially. It has 150 hit power. That's gonna go through men. That's gonna destroy aircraft, and that's gonna destroy tanks. I don't see you... I don't possibly see you going through and surviving. That's how bad this thing is. But, it's also semi-automatic, by the way. So that is why you can potentially use this against human targets, and tanks, and aircraft, and essentially everything. Flamethrowers are the exact same. The only downside that the Soviets have for the machine gun department is they don't have a machine gun like the Germans do. Like, one second. They don't have something like a MG34. They do have the accordion, which is the DP, where is it? The DP-27. But nothing in between. They have a mortar, which, oh, why would you get a mortar? I'd rather get a machine gun, but that said, I will gladly take the DP-27. The difference between the DP-27 and the what do you call it, MG34 is that this fires slower, does the exact same damage, and that's it. That's the big difference. Obviously, I would take the MG34 every day besides the DP-27, but I'm not trying to say the DP-27 sucks. It's just that I rather prefer the MG34 because of the fire rate. That's it. And in terms of tanks, ooh, I think I forgot to do tanks. In terms of tanks, one second. In terms of tanks, the Soviets have the edge. The BT-7 is quite amazing. It's a Soviet cavalry tank. It's quite fast. It has a good gun. Until you get to level 50, this tank is also amazing. I highly suggest that you get this tank after you get the BT-7. Yeah, it's really amazing. For the Germans, one second. For the Germans, you have literally a pretty good progression system of tanks. Panzer II, Panzer IIIs, and then Panzer IVs. One second. And this, yeah. And all the way down here. The Soviets obviously also get the T-28Es. And that is essentially a super heavy. Back then they called it a super heavy. It's more like a medium. And yeah. But in terms of tanks, both sides have pretty good tanks. In terms of weapons, the Soviets have the edge in every department. Except for probably light machine guns. But, that said, they have the edge in every department. And even in pistols, by the way. They have the edge in pistols. But that is it for the weapons. Now let's move on to tips and tricks. Now let's move on to some of the squads that you should be bringing in Moscow for the Axis and the Allies. Some of the best squads to bring are the SMG squads, especially for the Allies, for obvious reasons that I've stated in a few seconds ago. The LMG squads for both sides, and the sniper squads for both sides, especially at the end game. And finally, you should either bring a pilot or a tanker. And the reason is because at the beginning, pilots, you can suicide bomb until all you want, and for tankers, essentially in the late game, they're quite useful. But yeah, that's that. Like I said, you can also change it up, like with everything I bring, but that is what I'm gonna bring: a SMG, an LMG, a sniper, and a tanker or a plane. But for both sides. Next, let's move on to tips and tricks. The first tips and trick is the first tip, as a matter of fact, is watch out for snipers. This should come as no surprise, especially if you're in Moscow. In Moscow, you are more than likely to die from snipers just sniping you from half a mile away. Be careful if you're, especially the Axis. Soviet snipers are extremely deadly, especially if they have the SVT-38. The exact same thing can be said for the early game with German snipers. Yeah, that's that. Out of the 10 people that you die, I would say 3 are gonna die from artillery, 2 are gonna die from tanks or planes, and the rest are either gonna die from small arms fire, close quarters combat, or snipers. So be careful. Next thing, like I said, since 3 of those people die from artillery, our next tip and trick is watch out for artillery. For those who don't know, if you look at the map, there is a very good way to see if you're getting artillery attacked. And if there's a circle on the map that is somewhat yellow, then that means you're within range of artillery fire. Obviously, there are certain ways to evade that said artillery fire. One is to take cover under a building, in the building, or like under a building, if that makes sense, like in the basement. That said, please do not be out. If you can see, okay, the tip and trick is if you can see the sky when the artillery is being fired at you, you're probably gonna die if you're within the radius. So take cover from artillery. Another tip and trick that I have is beware of people with higher tiers. Obviously, when you load into a match, sometimes you can automatically tell off the bat. But when people come out with NKB 42s and you have a Mosin Nagant, there is going to be a massive problem of which you're going to be on the receiving end of death. The exact same opposite thing can't be said if you have essentially an AVS 36, a SVT 40, 38, and then the Germans only have essentially Kar 98Ks. Then you're going to be running around mowing down people en masse, especially if you have the PPSH 41. So just be careful of that. And the last tip and trick is to take cover. Make sure your squad is safe, because if your squad is safe, you essentially can use your squad more often than not. And yeah, just take cover, because artillery, planes, bombs, everything is going at you. The exact same thing can be said for all the other campaigns in Moscow. And that wraps it all up for the Moscow campaign. Good luck everyone, and I'll see you on the battlefield. Now before you leave, I would like to thank you very much for watching this video. I would be honored if you could like and subscribe to the channel. Remember, more videos are coming out, so it is a good idea to click on that notification button. Anyways, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.